All right, guys, we're continuing on the 4 agreements. We're on chapter 4, which is the 3rd agreement. The first agreement is be impeccable with your word. The second is take nothing personal. The third agreement is don't make assumptions. The third agreement is don't make assumptions. I like that. Don't make assumptions. Don't make assumptions, man. I know it's fucking hard, though. Just trying to protect yourself, you know? Don't make assumptions. We have the tendency to make assumptions about everything. The problem with making assumptions is that we believe they are the truth. We could swear they are real. We make assumptions about what others are doing or thinking. We take it personally, then we blame them and react by sending emotional poison with our word. That is why whenever we make assumptions, we're asking for problems. We make assumptions, we misunderstand, we take it personally, and we end up creating a whole big drama for nothing. Make assumptions, we ask for problems. All the sadness and drama you have lived in your life was rooted in making assumptions and taking things personally. And not all the sadness and drama, but we were kids once, right? Take a moment to consider the truth of this statement. The whole war of control between humans is about making assumptions and taking things personally. Our whole dream of hell is based on that. We create a lot of emotional poison just by making assumptions and taking it personally, because usually we start gossiping about our assumptions. Remember, gossiping is the way we communicate to each other in the dream of hell and transfer poison to one another. Because we are afraid to ask for clarification, we make assumptions. That's true, we don't communicate. And believe we are right about the assumptions, then we defend our assumptions and try to make someone else wrong. So, we're afraid to ask for clarification, so we make assumptions and believe we are right about these assumptions. And then we defend our assumptions that we're assuming about, that we don't even know for fact, and then we try to make someone else wrong. It is always better to ask questions than to make an assumption, because assumptions set us up for suffering. Communication. The big matote in the human mind creates a lot of chaos, which causes us to misinterpret everything and misunderstand everything. We only see what we want to see and hear what we want to hear. We don't perceive things the way they are. We have the habit of dreaming with no basis in reality. We literally dream things up in our imaginations because we don't understand something. We make an assumption about the meaning, and when the truth comes out, the bubble of our dream pops and we find it was not what we thought it was at all. It's kind of scary, man. An example, you're walking in the mall and you see a person you like. That person turns to you and smiles and then walks away. You can make a lot of assumptions just because of this one experience. With these assumptions, you can create a whole fantasy. And you really want to believe this fantasy and make it real. A whole dream begins to form just from your assumptions. And you can't believe, oh, this person really likes me. In your mind, a whole relationship begins from that. Maybe you even get married in this fantasy land, but the fantasy is in your mind, in your personal dream. Making assumptions in our relationships is really asking for problems. Often we make the assumption that our partners know what we think and that we don't have to say what we want. We assume they are going to do what we want because they know us so well. If they don't do what we want, or if they don't do what we assume they should do, we feel so hurt and say, you should have known. Again, communication, man. Another example, you decide to get married and you make the assumption that your partner sees marriage the same way that you do. Then you live together and you find out this is not true. This creates a lot of conflict, but you still don't try to clarify your feelings about marriage. The husband comes home from work and the wife is mad, and the husband doesn't know why. Maybe it's because the wife made an assumption. Without telling him what she wants, she makes an assumption that he knows her so well, that he knows what she wants, as if he can read her mind. She gets so upset because he fails to meet her expectations. Making assumptions in relationships leads to a lot of fights, a lot of difficulties, a lot of misunderstandings with people we supposedly love. In any kind of relationship, we can make the assumption that others know what we think and we don't have to say what we want. They are going to do what we want because they know us so well. If they don't do what we want, what we assume they should do, we feel hurt and think, how could you do that? You should know. Again, we make the assumption that the other person knows what we want. We make the assumption that the other person knows what we want. A whole drama is created because we make this assumption and then put more assumptions on top of it. It is very interesting how the human mind works. We have the need to justify everything, to explain and understand everything in order to feel safe. We have millions of questions that need answers because there are so many things that the reasoning mind cannot explain. It is not important if the answer is correct. We have millions of questions that need answers because there are so many things that the reasoning mind cannot explain. I don't think so. I don't think it's that. I think we just have to accept our emotions within. Like if you're with your girlfriend, You have to just, if you want to keep her, you keep your mouth shut, or you communicate, hey, we're at a restaurant. That guy's handsome. I wish I was handsome like him, big and strong, and you're talking to him. He likes you. You can just feel, but he's also trying to just keep his job, and he's just trying to avoid human emotions. Communicate about these things instead of like letting it affect your energy, and you just shut down during the fucking meal that she's trying to have a good time, And you have faith that she's gonna grab your arm to reassure you that it's okay, I love you, If you feel that she's like has a wandering eye, or she's like she feeds into the attention she gets in front of you, and even obviously when you're not around for sure, then that's not one that you want. If others tell us something, we make assumptions, and if they don't tell us something, we make assumptions to fulfill our need to know and to replace the need to communicate. Even if we hear something and we don't understand, we make assumptions about what it means and then believe the assumptions. Communicate. If you're unsure, we make all sorts of assumptions because we don't have the courage to ask questions. These assumptions are made so fast and unconsciously most of the time because we have agreements to communicate this way. We have agreed that it is not safe to ask questions. We have agreed that if people love us, they should know what we want or how we feel. When we believe something, we assume we are right about it to the point that we will destroy relationships in order to defend our position. Amen. We make the assumption that everyone sees life the way we do, which is not the case. We assume that others think the way we think, feel the way we feel, judge the way we judge, and abuse the way we abuse. This is the biggest assumption that humans make. And this is why we have a fear of being ourselves around others, because we think everyone else will judge us, victimize us, abuse us, and blame us as we do ourselves. Wow. I like that one. That's true right there. So even before others have a chance to reject us, we have already rejected us. That is why the human mind works, or that is the way the human mind works. Yeah, just defense mechanisms, or just trying to protect yourself. We also make assumptions about ourselves, and this creates a lot of inner conflict. I think I am able to do this. You make this assumption, for instance, then you discover you aren't able to do it. You overestimate or underestimate yourself because you haven't taken the time to ask yourself questions and to answer them. Then I think he's going to say you feel disappointed. Perhaps you need to gather more facts about a particular situation, or maybe you need to stop lying to yourself about what you truly want. Often when you go into a relationship with someone you like, you have to justify why you like that person. You only see what you want to see, and you deny there are things you don't like about that person. You lie to yourself just to make yourself right. Then you make assumptions, and one of the assumptions is, my love will change this person. But this is not true. Your love will not change anybody. If others change, it's because they want to change, not because you can change them. Then something happens between the two of you and you get hurt. And you probably say, my love's not good enough. Suddenly you see what you didn't want to see before, only now it is amplified by your emotional poison. Now you have to justify your emotional pain and blame them for your choices. We don't need to justify love. It is there or not there. Real love is accepting other people the way they are without really trying to change them. If we try to change them, this means we don't really like them. Of course, if you decide to live with someone, if you make that agreement, it is always better to make that agreement with someone who is exactly the way you want him or her to be. Of course, if you decide to live with someone, if you make that agreement, it is always better to make that agreement with someone who is exactly the way you want him or her to be. I just think it's know that that's the person you want to live with. Find someone who you don't want to change at all. It is much easier to find someone who is already the way you want him or her to be instead of trying to change that person. That's why it's called dating and using your fucking communication. It's your fucking life. Your life, nobody else. Also, that person must love you just the way you are, so he or she doesn't have to change you at all. If others feel they have to change you, that means they really don't love you just the way you are. So why be with someone if you're not the way he or she wants you to be? We have to be what we are so we don't have to present a false image. We have to be what we are so we don't have to present a false image. If you love me the way I am, okay, take me. If you don't love me the way I am, okay, bye-bye. Find someone else. It may sound harsh, but this kind of communication means the personal agreements we make with others are clear and impeccable. Yes. We have to be what we are so we don't have to present a false image. If you love me, that sounds kind of cringe. If you love me the way I am, then you'll accept me, blah, blah. So it's kind of the opposite of it's not you, it's me. Just imagine the day that you stop making assumptions with your partner and eventually everyone else in your life. Your way of communicating will change completely, and your relationships will no longer suffer from conflicts created by mistaken assumptions. Fucking communicate, man. Then you also go you won't seem so weird because no one can hold in everything for too long. So if you communicate the way you are, like, well, that's the way they are. That's the way they communicate. You know, they're transparent. You know, you never see them mad because they say what the fuck they feel right at the moment. They don't hold shit in. Because that seems weird, like a person that's quiet and passive. When they finally fucking speak, you gotta listen, but then it's gonna come out in a way that you're not used to, or I don't know. The way to keep yourself from making assumptions is to ask questions. Yes. Make sure the communication is clear. If you don't understand, ask. Have the courage to ask questions. That goes with anything in life. Have the courage to ask questions until you are clear as you can be, and even then, do not assume you know all there is to know about a given situation. Once you hear the answer, you will not have to make assumptions because you will know the truth. Also, find your voice to ask for what you want. Everybody has the right to tell you no or yes, but you always have the right to ask. Amen, brother. That goes for you young men, like breaking young girls' hearts and shit. Likewise, everybody has the right to ask you, and you have the right to say yes or no. Like, you could tell, like, when you're young, you fucking tell a girl you like her, but really just want to have sex with her. But maybe you do want to be with her. But you can't do both either, you know? If you don't understand something, it is better for you to ask and be clear instead of making an assumption. That's a different story. If you don't understand something, it's better for you to ask and be clear instead of making an assumption. The day you stop making assumptions, you will communicate cleanly and clearly, free of emotional poison. Without making assumptions, your word becomes impeccable. So how can that be? Without making assumptions, kind of goes with not talking shit about people, which is the first agreement, you know, make your word impeccable. With clear communication, all of your relationships will change, not only with your partner, but with everybody else. It's like yesterday I bought my family some dinner, got some McDonald's, I still live with my folks, I gave them my debit card. And shout out to my stepdad, Jesse. A lot of times he don't get the sauce, like he never orders the sauce, you know. If you like things done a particular way, do it yourself, because they're not gonna care, you know. Like yesterday I got, like, I don't like mayonnaise, and one of my sandwiches had mayonnaise in it. And I had to accept it because I didn't go get it. I couldn't be a bitch about it and complain. But also, I really wanted sauce. A lot of times you don't get the sauce I want, so I make sure to text them, you know. You won't need to make assumptions because everything becomes so clear. This is what I want. This is what you want. If we communicate in this way, our word becomes impeccable. If all humans could communicate in this way, with impeccability of the word, there would be no wars, no violence, no misunderstandings. All human problems would be resolved if we could just have good, clear communication. That was insane. I don't think all wars would ever stop, though, because they want what you got, and they're going to get it. So, hey, I want that. Can I get it? Not if they say no, then they're going to go to war. This, then, is the third agreement. Don't make assumptions. Just saying this sounds easy, but I understand that it is difficult to do. It is difficult because we so often do exactly the opposite. We have all these habits and routines that we are not even aware of. See, the habits, right? It's like you're so quick to assume because you just want to protect yourself. Becoming aware of these habits and understanding the importance of this agreement is the first step. Becoming aware of these habits and understanding the importance of this agreement is the first step. But understanding its importance is not enough. Information or an idea is merely the seed in your mind. What really makes the difference is action. Don't assume. Taking the action over and over again strengthens your will. So it's like a learned habit. It gotta come to a point not where you do it right, but where you never do it wrong. I heard that from a boxing trainer. Sounds dope. Taking the action over and over again strengthens your will, nurtures the seed, and establishes a solid foundation for the new habit to grow. After many repetitions, these new agreements will become second nature, and you will see how the magic of your word transforms you from a black magician into a white magician. After many repetitions, these new agreements will become second nature, and you will see how the magic of your word transforms you from the magic of your word. Black magic, poison to life. You know, a white magician uses the word for creation. Use the word for creation, giving, sharing, and loving. By making this one agreement a habit, your whole life will be completely transformed. When you transform your whole dream, magic just happens in your life. What you need comes to you just easily because spirit moves freely through you. When you transform your whole dream, magic just happens in your life. What you need comes to you easily because spirit moves freely through you. This is the mastery of intent, the mastery of the spirit, the mastery of love, the mastery of gratitude, and the mastery of life. This is the goal of the Toltec. This is the path to personal freedom. But you gotta want a happy life. Like, even as I'm speaking this, I'm having conflicting ideas because in this society we live in this American society, it's like they reward bad behavior. They reward troublesome people. They reward drama, you know? So it's like, yeah, but who's gonna really, like, is the world gonna love me if I decide to be a fucking saint or something? You know, like, these people are attracted to somebody bad, you know? They're attracted to somebody that seems like, I don't know. Like, there's all this ideas that, oh, women are attracted to bad boys because the bad boy can protect them, but that's bullshit. I see beautiful women walking all day with a guy like, wow, she's with that guy? He sounds so fucking feminine. He moves feminine. That's the opposite of what they're saying. Yeah, she might want to fuck the bad guy, but she realizes the bad guy, he brings on too much attention. Other women want him. It's too hard for her. He's kind of rough. She wants a gentleman, you know, that's just going to get up and go every day. I'm talking about a real good woman that has good values and morals. She doesn't give a fuck about attention or fame, or she just wants a man to love her. She loves her mom and dad. She's family centered, you know. And, you know, the man that she has, she knows she could do without him. She'll be fine without him because that's what she was taught, you know. So right here it says, this is the mastery of intent, the mastery of spirit, the mastery of love. So you got to really understand what kind of future you want, what kind of present you want, you know. This is about, like, love and having a peaceful life, you know. Anyway, the third agreement, don't make assumptions.